is my P4 final project, PFL Fantasy Finders Keepers, supplemental website for my fantasy football league. So, as you can see, if you're not logged in yet, the menu you get is home, login, or register. So let's go ahead and log in. And I've already got a couple of users set up, so let's see what Jill has when she logs in. So there's Jill's team. So we log in as Jill, and then we're taken to a page, and we can see Jill's roster. So let's go ahead and add a player to Jill's roster. So let's add Tom Brady to Jill's roster. And I've left the owner field as non-editable, and I've pre-filled it with Jill. Jill is only going to be able to edit and add players to her own roster. One of the expansions I'd like to make down the line is to have the commissioner for the league be able to move players from roster to roster. I don't want individual members to be able to do that. I would just like to isolate that to one person, the commissioner. Let's put Tom Brady on Jill's roster. And let's have him be a keeper. So we're going to add Tom Brady, and there's Tom Brady, New England, tight end, and he is a keeper. And I've bolded the keepers just to differentiate them from the rest of the roster. And I've also put in this jQuery table sorter to make it a little easier to look at your roster, so you can look at either by last name or the positions on your team, etc. So let's, something was a little weird about Tom Brady, so let's look at that again. And we can see we added him New England, but we put him in as a tight end, which he is not. So let's go ahead and edit Tom Brady. So we're going to come back in, and instead of tight end, we're going to call him a quarterback, which is right. And let's not have him be a keeper. Let's have it say no to that, save changes. And then when we go back to our roster, it alerted us that Tom Brady had been edited. We come back, use our sorter, we'll find Tom Brady, and he's no longer highlighted. He's not a keeper, but he is a quarterback. So that's all correct. However, for Jill, Tom Brady is not on her team. So let's go ahead and delete. Are you sure you want to remove Tom Brady from your roster? Drop. And Tom Brady was deleted. One other thing Jill's going to be able to do with this application is look up the players on everybody's roster. So if she comes here to look up players, she's taken to another table. This one has the players on everybody's roster in the entire fantasy football league. I've used a different plugin or application. I've used a different program on this site for the table. Use data tables instead of the jQuery table sorter. The reason for that is that this is just a much denser table with a lot more information. So you can see there's 14 pages worth of entries, and it needs a little more robust functionality. For this one, it's going to be much more beneficial to the end user if they can look up. So let's look up Tom Brady, and then you can see Tom Brady is currently on Josh's team. He was a 6th round draft pick, which means if you want to keep him, which you can for the next 2 years, you would have to give up your 6th round pick. So this would just be really beneficial to the league members. We do allow trading, so one of the things that would be super helpful is to be able to come see who's on what roster, see if they are eligible to be kept, so you know who you want to target when you're making trades. One of the functionalities I'd like to expand on down the line is I'd love to be able to add from this table for the commissioner, so that when trades happen, it would be easy to just come in here, look up the player, and then from this screen add them to somebody's roster. So that would just be helpful. And I could explore if I want people within the league to be able to add from this table to their own rosters. But one of the things I do like is having the control of the commissioner, being the only one able to move people from roster to roster. So that is the application in a nutshell. That is the functionality that you have through this site. Let's go ahead and log out so that we can just show you that the screen is different. We're back to the home login and register. So let's go ahead and you've been logged out. But let's go ahead and just register a user. So register, and let's register me. So if I do Courtney, and let's register. And it said this email has already been taken. So it's just wanted to show that the validation was in place, so I can't register because I'm already registered. So let's go ahead and we'll just use a different email, which I wouldn't do in real life, but I just want to show you how the registration process works. So you register, and then you're taken to a page, and I haven't added any players to my roster yet. So I get a nice alert that says your roster is empty. You can add players to your team here. So let's put Tom Brady on my team. And let's have him be a keeper. We go ahead, and then I'm starting to build out my roster. And again, one of the additional functionalities I'd like to implement down the line is I'd like it to check and make sure that Tom Brady is not on anybody else's roster, and then prohibit me from adding him if he was, because we did see he was on Josh's roster, so I really shouldn't be able to add him to mine. So that's just an enhancement I'd like to make down the line. But for now, this is my app, PFL Fantasy Finders Keepers.